So the name of my piece is The Origin of Vaqueros, and the inspiration comes from my childhood memories and landscapes of my childhood, I would say. And the piece was originally a mock-up for an even bigger installation, and through this exhibition, this mock-up piece was elevated to become an individual piece of itself. But the meaning of it is about the history of cowboys and the origin, essentially, of cowboys and how they became a thing in the United States. And the work itself focuses on the cultural hegemony of the Mexican cowboy and its integration into America. And I wanted to just emphasize that the real cowboy was originally indigenous Mexican men. So I was actually recommended to apply by Jill. Jill suggested that I should think about maybe applying because during that time I had just graduated from the sculpture department at KCI, and Jill saw my piece as I was working on it, and I started to realize, oh, well, this is quite literally a miniature of a bigger actual object. This is just a miniature piñata of a bigger piñata, and so I thought actually this piece would fit pretty well in the local artist exhibition. So I feel like I don't have that much experience working in miniature, but I do have experience working on small scale. And I really appreciate and value a small scale because it feels intimate and very personal. And I work a lot with toys and different smaller objects that are tangible, and so small scale just suits a lot of the narrative that I talk about regarding playfulness and what it's like to own a toy and to play with a toy, or what that means and how that meaning transforms when you're older, and what you do in your day-to-day that's play for you. So I feel like my studio has to be like in a busy place where there's lots of other artists working. I feel like that's really essential for my practice to help me stay motivated. And so being in my studio in this environment just really helps me keep myself going and gives me motivation to work. I think it's really important to be around a community of other artists or other people who just, you know, work on their own things and just stay busy and stay working. I think it's great motivation and helps me feel like, okay, I need to stay on top of this. My inspirations, like I said, come from childhood memories and my experiences growing up in Mexico. That influences me a lot. I feel like I take a lot from those memories because it was so rich with culture, and I felt like I connected the most with myself and with others during that time. I grew up in Mexico about 4 months out of the year until I was probably 15 years old. And so I grew up with all my family, all my cousins, and all of my 8 uncles. Yeah, and so my identity as a Mexican American woman really inspires my work. But I don't let it limit me to just making work of my identity. I take inspiration from it, but it does just have a subtle influence. I don't have any rituals. I'm not that determined. I don't have that much, not that strict on myself. But I do have routines when I get to the studio. I have to be listening to something, or I have to be watching something. I'm kind of like an iPad kid when it comes to that. I have to be either watching a show or a movie or listening to music or an audiobook. So I work a lot with concrete. I work a lot with white Portland, cement, and silica sand, and other kinds of concretes and sands too, but that's my main material that I work with. And I toggle back and forth with ceramic work too, but concrete for some reason just calls me. I like the harsh, the heavy materiality that it is, and I like manipulating it. I feel like there's a certain authority that I have with it, and being able to change its consistency and its color is really satisfying and gratifying. I can achieve what I want with such a material that is unexpected in a way. It's been used in construction, or it's all around us, and I like bringing it into a new setting and repurposing it into something special. When I was in school, I felt like I had to make art a certain way. I felt like I had to fit in the category in order to feel like my work is important. And as I've evolved and been out of school for a little bit now, I realized that I have the freedom to essentially do whatever I want and make whatever I want. And it doesn't have to mean anything, or it can. And so I've sort of gave myself more leeway. And I think because of that, my work has evolved into more playful and more free, fun things. I've been making a lot more just little objects and things that sort of relax me and take me away from my actual real things going on in my life. And the work that I'm making right now, the body of work that I'm making, is still very valuable in the grand body of work that I have. But it's just a nice, I feel like, period. It's a transitional period right now, and it's a nice break from everything else that's going on in the world and around us. So I grew up around my brother, who's 10 years older than me, and he's a painter and an architect. And I always looked up to him, but I never thought I would be an artist myself. I always thought, oh, okay, he's a super cool guy. He makes paintings. That's very cool, but that's not going to be me. I don't know what I want to do. And then probably when I was 20, I took some art classes, and I immediately was like, oh, okay, this would be awesome to do for the rest of my life. I feel like my style keeps changing over time. I feel like I have a consistent general aspect or a general idea of what I make in my style. But I feel like as I just get older and have more life experience, that reflects into my work, and it's going to constantly be evolving and changing.